Welcome to RhomanysRealm. I'm Romany, and today I have a sketchbook tour for you. Yes, I finished a sketchbook. This is quite unusual for me, not because I don't finish my sketchbooks, but because I usually have so many on the go at once that it takes me forever to finish actual one sketchbook. I don't use one sketchbook at a time. I get way too bored. Currently, I've only got about 5, but that's still about 3 more than most people have. So anyway, this is a Moleskine Art Plus. Now, this is the label off the new one. They've changed the name. They used to be called Art Plus. Now they're called the Art Collection. But it is the one that says Sketchbook. So it's the cardstocky paper. I have noticed that the ones that come with the Art Collection logos, like my new one, they have the new CEO or whoever it is they've put in the manifesto at the front and they've added something about the company to the back. Anything like that, what I've noticed is the paper is a bit better than it was in the previous ones. So I think they've upped their quality again, which is never a bad thing. Anyway, that's the sketchbook, the old version of this sketchbook. This one actually has multiple dates on it. December 2020, I actually received this for Christmas that year. And as happens during that week where you just sat on the sofa in a food coma, I couldn't find my actual sketchbook I wanted to work in. So I just picked this one up because I'd received it for Christmas. I did a few pages and then I found my other sketchbook. So I shelved this one until I'd finished the previous Moleskine. I restarted it in March 2022 and I just finished it yesterday. So let's get on with the tour. Stickers, all of these stickers are just from a big pack of black and white stickers I got on Amazon. I don't know who they're by. They've all got like signatures on and stuff, but I don't know. They're not specific ones bought from anywhere. They're just a big pack of stickers from Amazon. Same with all of these. Oh, I think that was from Sticky Club, but I can't remember the artist. This is an art journal page. So it's, for me, art journal pages have symbolism and stuff in them. I'm not going to explain what it's about, but it was a depiction of my version of the Two of Swords from the tarot. Read into that what you will. This is just all sorts on here. I think there's some acrylic paint. There's some, that looks like a Jane Davenport marker. There's colour pencil. There's bits of ink. There's highlighter, all sorts. Just a page from a magazine that I liked. Creepy Hands, just playing with different versions of Creepy Hands. I really like this one. I didn't do all of these at the same time. With something like this, I quite often will do 2 or 3 and then I'll come back to the page and do another one later. So I think this one and this one were done at the same time. And then this one, and this one. That one was done later, I know that. It was something from a graphic novel I was reading that I really liked the design of. And then this was done much later. This was just trying out some acrylic gouache. I'd never used acrylic gouache before. This is the actual Holbein acrylic gouache, and this is Liquitex acrylic gouache. Did not like the Liquitex one at all. It was streaky, and you literally couldn't put any kind of pencil or pen over the top of it, except ballpoint. With the Holbein acrylic, it's a little bit easier. As long as you're using a wax pencil or an oil-based pen, it works. This was actually the first page I did. As you can see, this is over Christmas because it's not Christmas until Bill Murray's been slapped around the head with a toaster by Carol Kane. This was just me doodling while I watched the film, and then I believe I inked it another day, and then I came back and watercoloured it another day. I don't sit down and complete an entire spread all in one go. Another Christmas doodle. Again, I'd done the pencils, then I did pen, didn't like that. Went back in with some gouache. Then I came back in and did a background with a brush pen. This is just a list of some art challenges from 2020. This is the Drawloween and the April Art Challenge. Mab's Drawloween by Mab Graves and the April Art Challenge from by Bun. I like to just keep lists of prompts. I'm very bad at doing challenges. I do like 7 to 10 days and then I throw it out the window because I'm bored. So I like to just keep a list of prompts, and as you see, I just cross them out when I've done them. This was part of a 365 I did. This was number 57. Again, that 365 over, I think I had about 13 different sketchbooks at that point. In my defense, when I say I've got multiple sketchbooks, it's not like I have multiple of this same sketchbook. I'll have one in this size and I'll have a big one. And then I'll have two others in a different type of sketchbook in two different sizes. Or I'll have a square format sketchbook or a landscape format sketchbook. I don't have 13 of all exactly the same sketchbook. That's why I have so many sketchbooks, because I like to swap papers and sizes and just move around and do whatever I want to do. This is a art journal page. Again, not done all in one go. In fact, I think I did this in about 8 different sittings spread over around 6 months. This is one of those pages that kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse because I kept adding more and more and more to it. And then suddenly I filled in the background in black and it all came together and I stopped messing with it. Originally, I think I did it in Copic marker, because this is Copic marker where I did the tree, and I loved the tree, but I hated the way I did the castle. And I just kept adding more and more to it. Sometimes you need to leave it alone, and sometimes you have to just keep going until you're happy with it. I'm quite happy with it now. I like it. This isn't an art journal spread, it's just a mixed media page. I had the collage down right from back in March last year, I think, maybe April, but I literally just finished it the other day. This, I think, was during October. Was it October? Yeah, I think so. And it wasn't last year, it was the year before. So obviously Scream and Beetlejuice. This part of the page was empty for a long time. It just had some really weird swatches you can see underneath. But then last week I came in and just drew the sandworm in because I wanted to play with my Holbein acrylic wash in the moleskin. See what it was like on this paper. Again, all sorts of things on here: ink, acrylic, pencil, acrylic ink, watercolour, Holbein acrylic wash, everything. Everything you think of thrown on this page. More spooky doodles. Must have been getting near Halloween at this point. This is a art journal page. Post offices are my nemesis. I think this was a page we did for Patreon. I added the collage bits afterwards. I found them in a magazine and I just liked the way they matched the colours and filled up the space. But the actual skeleton we did for Patreon, I believe. This was another of those Christmas doodles. I don't work chronologically in my books, so you can see I did a page here, I did a page here, and then another page here that was Christmas. Just doodling. Another art journal spread. This is one of those where it's part real, part working things out, working through things, and part fiction, I guess you would call it. I like to mix them all together and just come up with something. This witch doctor type apparition was the best I can remember from a dream. I'm not good at remembering dreams. This was also a Patreon page. It might even have been done at the same time as the bat skeletons, or it might have just been the week after. Cute bats. This is Copics with colour pencil in the background. As you can see, it does bleed through. Copics bleed through on stuff. But I just use the next page for notes or paint over it like I did with this one. I don't care about bleed through, unless it's bleeding through onto something I've already done. Just some weird girls and spooky house. Random bit of collage. This was out of an old sketchbook that I think it came out of the sketchbook. I think the page came loose and I just stuck it in here. This was, I actually used this page up the other day. It had some notes on it and I'd erased the notes. I quite often do that. If I've just got some pencil notes, I'll erase them and reuse the page. But the pencil was, I'd used a really sharp pencil and it had left marks on the page, so I just used it for some swatching of some new pens and paints and pencils. These are the Faber-Castell Neon Grip Jumbo pencils, which are interesting. They're dry highlighters, and they're a strange texture, but they're fun to play with. And this is me testing my Holbein gouache with different colours and mixing them with different things to see what we got. This was from back during the Johnny Depp trial, and they had the alpacas outside that said "not from Disney," and I drew the alpacas, Truffle and Teddy. Also during the Johnny Depp trial, again, just ballpoint pen this time, and just making notes, drawing. This is essentially, I was watching the trial in the background while I was working, and then when I took a break, I would just draw what was happening on the screen. This is from Still Here, Still Life, week 89. And there's all sorts on here. There's Ecoline brush pen, there's pencil, there's the 2-colour pencil that I like to draw with, these things. There's sparkly paint, metallic paint. There's gold gel pen on there. Watercolour, ink, acrylic ink, all sorts of stuff. Just playing. This was, I think if I remember correctly, this was a prompt from Bun's Sketchbook Club over on her Patreon. It was either Sketchbook Club or it might have been Comic Book Club. I think it might have been Comic Book Club, drawing tea sets. This is an urban sketch. This is from, it's actually called Seldom Seen. Seldom Seen is the actual place, like the village name, Seldom Seen. I know, it's weird, but it's the engine house. A friend of mine lives near there, and I went over to visit, and we took our dogs for a walk, and we stopped and did some sketching. Spooky season, just a strange skeleton guy with a headdress and a fur coat. Don't know. This was just drawing what was in front of me. I was lying in bed, and this is my shelf that's on the wall in front of my bed. I believe we were working on Danny Gregory style drawing at the time over on Patreon, and I'd done it as just a black outline, just like he does with just drawing with the black pen, and then I came back and added colour and stuff to it later. Another mixed media page. I had drawn the castle, and then I painted the castle, and then I came in and added some mixed media to it later just to finish the page. So it's not an art journal page, it's just a sketch that evolved. This is another page. This is the other half of that previous purple page that fell out of another sketchbook. But it's a design of my tattoo, which I designed. This is what my tattoo looks like, and I stuck it in here because I didn't want to lose it. Pumpkin spice season. I told you it takes me a while to finish a sketchbook. This one was a year, which is fast for me. This was some writing I did for last Halloween. Bun did the Occupied Oracle with haunted houses, and I thought, oh, that sounds like a fun idea. So I did some haunted houses myself. This was from the Amityville house, I believe. I just did the lettering in here and I transferred it to my other notebook, and this is the transfer that I used. Sketching Sabrina while watching Sabrina. I stuck these hands here because I thought they were really weird and creepy, and I like the design. I was going to use this page to draw some. I may well still come back and do that. I don't like just leaving blank pages, but also I'm kind of over this book and I'm already well into the next one, so I may not. These are only washi taped in, so I might actually take these out and transfer them into my new book and do it in there. This was the red was a 3-minute contour drawing. I was at a hospital appointment, and out the window I could see a church over the back, so I drew it blind contour. And then the blue is 5 minutes going back in and adding some more detail and affirming the structure. This page, until last week, was actually just some green swatches of paint and a penciled teacup. And every time I came to this page, I just got that feeling that it needed something else. Not a feeling like, oh, it's not finished or whatever, but just it needs something else. So I filled up this space just with a list of the names of the acrylic wash that I've got. And then I got this orange, this neon orange, and the bright red are some Shinhan Pass colours that I'd bought recently. And I was just testing them out to see how they worked. This is a Holbein acrylic wash in sepia that I'd purchased at the same time. I literally just inked the cup and did some background to it. And then this side, I was doing it in class and I could kind of see things. And somebody said, oh, that looks like fire and that looks like a ladder. And then this looked like a clock pendulum. And I was just kind of picking shapes out of what I could see and adding to it. Just makes an interesting page. It's more interesting than just having green swatches all over it. This is swatches of my Holbein acrylic wash set. I got the student set of 18 to play with and I love them. I've really been going to town with playing with them, and I'd done these 2 sketches. I did the little, I think it's a fox, and the chicken, and then I came back and added flowers to it, and then I painted it, and then I added mushrooms to fill up the page, and then I painted those. So this wasn't done in one sitting. This was done over about 5 different sittings again. I like the chicken so much I decided not to paint him. This was one of those haunted houses I did. Obviously this is the Inferno room, the strip club from Beetlejuice. It's the only one I did in this book, I think. I did them all in all the others in the bigger book. Just some notes for this is actually the notes where I was working out what I was going to call the sessions that I'm doing over on YouTube memberships. Memberships are open if you want to come and join us. We're essentially doing open studios, virtual open studios, where you come and sit in my studio and work with me for a few hours. And we did our very first one yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? Can't remember. This week, anyway. And it was really good. Really enjoyed it. Got loads done. Very productive. Just some sketches of various different pictures. I think this was Kate Winslet. And this was Jessica Chastain. And I can't remember who this was. But I like the sketches so much, I decided to just colour in the background and leave the sketches as they were. This was watching Stranger Things. I finally got past the first few episodes and I loved it. I'm halfway through watching it a second time. But again, just doodling what I saw on screen, and then I came back and inked some of it, and then I came back and added ballpoint pen, and then I came back and added some colour, and again, not done. I did this while watching the whole of season 1. So anytime I sat and watched an episode, I did a bit of this. Another mixed media page. This was going to be a proper art journal page, but I liked it so much I decided to stop at this point. I just thought it kind of looked like a weird alien landscape, fantasy landscape. And the more I looked, the more I could see different things in it, so I just left it. This was a prompt from Bybun's Sketchbook Club over on her Patreon, drawing fire. I had done these matchsticks, again over multiple sessions, kept coming back and adding more to them. And then I was testing out, this is the Shinhan Pass hybrid paints again, and my new colours of acrylic Holbein gouache that I'd picked up. This was done on Patreon. I was just so happy with the way I'd done these that I wanted to try it for a full spread, or a full-size spread. And I really love how I did the glow of the fire and the licking flames. I just love how this came out. And the neon, you can really see the neon on camera, which is unusual. This was a late night doodle that started off as just some bones, and then it got coloured in, and then the blue reminded me of an X-ray, so I started adding more and more and more, and then I filled in the background to make it look like a proper X-ray. Probably could have added more contrast here, but I quite like the texture on the background. Just a blank page. I already had one blank page, so I didn't worry about having another one. That's the way it goes sometimes. Another Patreon session. This was going to randomstreetview.org and doing some urban sketching. So I did this one first in colour pencil. This is of Santiago in Chile. Then I did this, because it's Google Street View, you can do a full 360 turn. So I decided to do a panoramic sketch. So this little black car parked here, I did this sketch, used the back of my pencil to just mark where these lines were so that it carried on across, kept going, marked it again, kept going, came back to where we started. There's that little black car again. This is the road that is here, but obviously it being Google Street View, by the time the camera had turned around, this car was out of sight, presumably up there somewhere. And then this one is, this was a suggestion from Roxy actually, of Vic in Iceland. This church gets painted a lot, and these are the rock formations known as the Three Trolls. It's quite a fun story. I had sketched it first, and then I did some watercolour and acrylic washes just to do the main colours. And then when I got my new acrylic washes and shin hands, I came back in and did the church and the rocks. And by the time I'd done those, I actually didn't feel like I needed to add any more. I liked how it looked and how just having the detail in these two places brought the sketch to life. And it was all about the three rocks and the church. This was really just testing my paints out and seeing how they worked. Obligatory ugly swatch page, of course. Don't think there's anything in the pocket. No. I usually just have tracing paper or these greaseproof papers that I put between pages. That sort of thing in there. And that's it. That's that sketchbook done. And I have already moved on to a new one. This one here, which I'm already quite a way into. Really enjoying being back in a... Oh, hello, Miss Maddie. Really enjoying being back in a brand new moleskin. Hopefully this one won't take me a year to finish, but who knows? I've got about 5 sketchbooks on the go again already. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and I will see you again soon. Bye.